Welcome back to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. My name is Mary.
And I'm James. How y'all doing?
And today we will be reviewing Joker, Folie. Let's see how many times we mispronounce that.
Yes, I wasn't even gonna attempt it. Folie à deux. I've been saying à la deux all day.
Yeah, I've never taken a lick of French. I do not understand it. I do not understand which words are silenced. Like the pronunciation, do not understand it. So I literally wrote it out phonetically, Folie à deux. So, but if you ever get like mixed up, you can call it shared madness because that's like the rough, or
Mhm.
madness for two. That's like the rough
Yep.
translation of it. And did you know Fall Out Boy has an album of the same name?
Oh, do they really?
Which is actually really fitting because if anything, this movie is very emo.
Yeah, it really is. I think even the first movie was pretty emo
Mm.
too. Just like how like Joaquin Phoenix
Joaquin.
personifies Joker. Joaquin, right? Like I said, mispronunciation. Joaquin
But my
Phoenix,
thing
right?
is, you're you are married to a fluent Spanish speaker, so I don't understand. I don't understand, but I'm gonna let you live.
If the way it's spelled just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, his interpretation of Joker, of like they described him as like low intelligent, and he obviously has a mental condition where he can't control his laughter, his outburst, and he's quiet and extremely thin and frail, but he still has this big personality that's like deep down and in within him, and um, it allows him to kind of be bigger than what he actually is, at least to like him being perceived as larger and more grander than he actually is. Like, and I think this whole movie is a reincarnation of that, right? It's like him being um, basically the show tunes version of Joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so this movie was directed by Tom Phillips, and
Mm.
during an interview that I watched with Collider, we I learned that this entire movie was shot in IMAX.
Yep.
I don't know what IMAX is. Like, maybe I
I
shouldn't
can, I
admit that.
can,
Can you explain
yeah.
to the
So
best of your ability?
IMAX movies are presented in a unique large format that offers an immersive cinematic experience.
Okay. I did
So the
not watch
screens
the
are
movie
much
in
larger.
IMAX because it's cheaper not to, but
Okay, yeah,
maybe I should have.
yeah. I don't think neither did we, right?
Yeah.
It has a much larger screen, different aspect ratio than standard theaters, and they typically provide like a super sharp, high resolutionary revolution images
Mm.
that fill your whole field of vision. So you can tell you're in an IMAX film where the whole screen kind of opens up. You know how
Mm.
like it kind of thins down, and you can see like the black borders
Mm.
on the top and bottom.
Mm.
IMAX films opens up.
Did you watch
They
Oppenheimer in
also,
IMAX?
mm, I think I did.
Okay.
I think I did, and it
Okay.
was incredible.
Yeah.
They also have like projectors in the movie theater that like could be up to like 60 feet tall, so they're freaking huge,
60 feet
and
is
they even
crazy.
it's crazy, right? And they also have 70 millimeter film, right, which is like a lot larger than regular film, I guess, and it just makes a lot of aspect ratios and just a lot of the formatting just look better,
Okay.
right? Um,
So it
and
seems like
plus,
watching a
the
movie
surround
in
sound.
IMAX is worth the money from what you're saying.
Yes, yes. From what I'm saying, watching a movie in IMAX, especially if it's a movie built for IMAX like this one, or
Yeah.
like you said, where they have IMAX cameras and they intentionally use wider focal like
Wider aspect
um,
ratios.
widths, aspect ratios,
Okay.
right? It's absolutely worth it because you get to watch the whole movie like and it's like the way it was designed to be watched.
Okay. Well, thank you for that little tidbit. What is also interesting about this movie, I was watching an interview with the director as well. Again, Todd Phillips. I think it was IGN. And one thing he
Yep.
says, I think this is very interesting, and I think it's a good segue into the discussion of this film. He said the first film is called Joker. It is not called The Joker. It's called Joker.
Yep.
And the first film under the script always said an origin story, never said the origin story. And I think that's very interesting because, like you said, with this Joker, Folie and the first Joker film, you said it was a very different interpretation of the story of Joker, very emo. The character was just
Yes.
completely different. And I think I'll get into this later, but this theme, what he said about this being called Joker and not the Joker, I think he portrayed that very well throughout the film. I think that message was very clear because I'll explain how if it is the story of the Joker, how just it just doesn't really fit. It doesn't really
Yeah.
fit
Yeah.
logically and it doesn't really fit
Yes.
uh like narratively, and maybe not so a black and white sense either, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We could touch more about that when we discuss the end of the movie.
Mhm.
But I I do agree.
Yeah.
I see where you're going
Yeah.
with that.
Okay. So we're going to do a brief synopsis, guys. What we're pretty much going to do is really just talk about the key points of the film and then just our
Hmm.
interpretation. We're going to go through this. So the film opens up with the Me and My Shadow animated sequence. And it's a very, this is Warner Brothers, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So it's very Looney Tunes. And yeah, so I really like this opening sequence. So pretty much to give a brief breakdown in this opening sequence, um it's pretty much a retelling or a reimagination of what happens in the first film where
Hmm.
Joker or Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, is invited to I do not remember his first name. I probably should. Murray's late night television show.
Yeah.
And what pretty much happens is you really see the split between Arthur Fleck and Joker. And
Yeah.
I like this because maybe remember we talked about Beetlejuice, where they went to a quick animated sequence and you said you didn't like it because it felt out of place.
Yep. You said it didn't really tell the story. It was just kind of awkward. But this, yo, I agree that this version, the Me and My Shadow, it fits, right? Because it was just, Arthur, Joker kind of walking in bombastic stride with his head
Bombastic,
up, and, right,
even in
with
Jamaica.
like all the all the makeup and everything, and like all the Joker makeup, and his shadow just follows behind him, and eventually his shadow takes over, and the darkness of him takes over and steals the show, and he has to go and figure out how to fight that back, and it matches even how the way the short ended, right? It ended with the
They were both fighting to
the
sing that song, What the World Needs Now. They're both kind of fighting to get control of the
fight for
mic.
that.
Yeah, so like you said, they
But
were kind of feuding with each other.
yes, but eventually the cops came in and the shadow disappeared, and it just left Arthur by himself,
Mm,
and they beat him to a bloody pulp,
yeah,
right? Like they
yeah,
beat that man senseless,
yeah.
and then it goes into when he's in the asylum, right?
Well, I'm going to talk a little
The
bit more.
Arkham City.
Yes. So with this, yeah, like I said, with this opening animation, I think it is very effective with setting up the whole theme of the story and the whole big question we're asking. Is Joker and Arthur Fleck one and the same? Are they two
Yeah.
different persons? Like, is it just like, he follow is Joker a persona who follows him around like a shadow, or is that a character that he can willingly take on and willingly take off? And I think it was great. Maybe because it's the beginning of the film, so it didn't feel like such a shift. Like the different media didn't feel so like, out of place. Maybe because they placed in the beginning, but I think it was excellent. So yes, now that's all I want to say. Now we can move on.
Yeah, no, I was gonna agree with you.
Hmm.
I was just saying like him getting beat at the end. matches the energy of how like his life is, just
Yeah.
always getting beat down.
So do you see
You
it
know what I mean?
as he pays, like Arthur pays the price for the things Joker does?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Arthur Fleck is imprisoned at Arkham State Hospital, awaiting trial for the crimes and murders he committed during the first film, which was 2 years ago. His defense lawyer, Mary Ann Stewart, believes that Arthur suffers from dissociative identity disorder as a result of the physical and sexual abuse Arthur endured as a child. Her argument is that Joker is a violent alternative identity that can greatly influence Arthur's behavior. So, what do you think about her defense, the dissociative identity disorder? Do you think it's valid? Do you think it's a stretch?
I my feelings on on okay, my feelings on me believing if Arthur actually have dissociative identity disorder, it changes. It does change. When she first
Yeah.
introduces it, even when I watched the first Joker movie and I was like, yeah, he definitely has an antisocial personality disorder. Definitely some dissociative qualities about him, you know. Um yeah, it's just it's
And I think I think her argument makes sense because he was, you know, he had a tough upbringing, and he does even he's a stand-up comedian, right? And the reason why he's a stand-up comedian is because like his mother told him that he was here to bring joy to the world for his like to kind of cope with his laughing. So I feel like him loving comedy and being a clown is him disassociating like his actual mental illness and just trying to like separate that, you know what I mean, and turn it to a positive thing.
so
So
let's
when they first said it, I took it as, yeah, that makes sense. Just, but also I feel like, especially during that time, right? Like, I don't know, the movie based in probably like, like the 60s, 70s or so,
no, I don't
where
think so. I think this movie literally, well, you're
think about the cars. The cars look
yeah.
like
I
definitely
heard
something out the
somewhere that said the
70s.
movie is in 2019. They might have been talking about the actual movie. But
The
yeah,
actual movie, the
how the way
first
they're
movie.
dressed, the very like um like earthy colors of the 70s, yeah, the 60s, 70s.
Yeah,
And then Bruce Wayne was a child. So yeah, okay, in the first
yeah,
film.
yeah.
But yeah. So let's actually discuss what dissociative identity disorder is. So thanks to Google AI, they say dissociative identity disorder, also known as DID, is a chronic mental health condition where a person has multiple distinct identities or alters that control their behavior at different times. People with
Mm,
DID may experience gaps in memory, feel disconnected from their body or the world around them, or have a sense of being possessed by other identities. They also may
mm,
experience changes in behavior, thinking, and memory when their identity switches.
mm,
Signs of a switch to an alternative state include trance like behavior, eye blinking, eye rolling, changes in posture. And I remember people with like dissociative identity disorder or even like multiple maybe like even schizophrenia. They can have like auditory and and visual hallucinations. Their handwriting is different at times when they switch personalities.
mm,
So
mm,
literally it's I so it, like you said, like Arthur, we know that in the first film Arthur had severe head trauma. And a lot of
mm-hmm.
times what I learned from listening to copious amounts of true crime podcasts is that head trauma can literally lead to sociopaths and people who
Wow.
have a lack of empathy because something in their brain is not operating the way it should. So, and like you
Yeah,
said,
it makes sense.
traumatic
Yeah,
events to try to separate yourself from trauma, your body can literally dissociate and kind of your it can I guess it kind of feels like you're watching a movie of yourself. and you're not
Yeah.
really acting in that moment.
No, all that makes sense, you know, because your brain is essentially like a supercomputer,
Mhm.
right? With like your neurons firing and the different hemispheres of your brain control different things. So if you have a different like a like if you have an injury, a severe brain injury, those gaps have to be kind of like those neurons and everything has to like change their paths, right? So you have to effectively think differently,
Mm.
you know? And um but I think going back to the believability of her defense, I don't think it would have been that effective because, you know, from my mind, it sounds like the devil made me do it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that mentality, even if it's true, I think it's really hard to convince the jury that the devil made me do it. Joker made me do it.
Mhm.
Joker took over and took over everything.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
it's a really hard defense. It makes a lot of sense logically, but it seems to take away all agency from the person suffering from DID or the person who
exactly.
committed these crimes, and people can't really get with that. We can't really
People can't
get with
understand
the
it.
idea that someone is not control of their actions. So,
Exactly.
even if you are, severely mentally unwell, it's a good defense. It's a logical defense, but it's a very hard one to prove because you are not inside that person's mind.
Exactly.
But
You never know.
yeah. So one thing that I noticed, I just want to talk about Joaquin Phoenix's performance. And if you want to do that later, we can too. But I just want to say something about this.
Okay.
So I Joaquin Phoenix literally won best actor Oscar for the first Joker.
Hmm. He did.
But I think in this film he's doing an even better job. Joaquin Phoenix doesn't have a line for like maybe like the first he barely says any he doesn't say anything for like the first 10
He
minutes of the
doesn't.
movie, and he doesn't
Yeah.
need one.
And
His silence says
yeah,
it all.
no, I agree. I didn't even realize it until after, you know, researching for this episode, right? That he didn't speak, right? Because it's yeah, like for example, right? That just made me think about like Castaway, right? Where Tom Hanks was on that island with the ball for like for half the movie, right? And you
Mhm.
can kind of tell that like he was just
He was
there by
immersed.
himself.
In his mind,
He was
he was
immersed.
literally stranded on an island for 4 years with a volleyball and losing his mind.
Yes, and that's like to be able to, like you said, show a defeat and
Mhm.
just like
Yeah.
him just giving up without even saying
He was an
anything,
empty
and
shell of a
just like
man, just going through the motions,
empty
trying to get through
shell,
the day,
and how
and he betrayed that with
and how
silence.
thin and how thin he was. You can see like every single bone in his
You could
body,
see every
like
spinal
when he
column.
walks back and forth.
Yeah.
Every it's yeah. So no, you're right. He definitely
Very
killed that, and
believable.
by not saying anything,
Yeah.
right? But then, like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And also
no,
just
I agree.
one thing in the opening scene. This film, it looks fantastic. It just looks so good. But one thing in the opening scene that caught my mind, there was this one scene where, like you said, Arthur's working with Marianne and his defense team to try to really get a grasp on this dissociative identity disorder angle. And there's just this one scene where he's smoking and they just really focus on the cigarette. And you just see I don't know how to describe it, but how the way the cigarette burns and the ashes fall off,
Mm,
beautifully shot, beautifully shot. But
mm,
we're going to move on with the plot. So, Jackie Sullivan, a corrupt guard at Arkham, allows Arthur to attend a music therapy session where we are first introduced to Harleen Quinzel, or Lee for short. Arthur and Lee are immediately drawn to one another, bonding over shared trauma. Lee idolizes Joker and believes that Joker is the real Arthur. Later that day, the prisoners are gathered around the television. Assistant DA, Harvey Dent, announces that he is pushing for the death penalty against Arthur. When asked how he feels about this by the other prisoners, Arthur sings For Once in My Life in his head. So, do you remember this scene with Arthur? We first hear, well, Arthur sings For Once in My Life when he hears that they're pushing for the death penalty.
Yeah, I wish movie theaters had subtitles because I felt like I struggled with understanding anything these niggas were singing,
I can
right?
pull
I
up the
just
lyrics
knew
if you want me to.
okay. And I just want to touch on I guess these songs in general.
Mhm.
So this whole musical is called something called a jukebox musical,
Okay, yeah.
right? And a jukebox musical is a musical that doesn't have original songs. At least not many original songs. They play
Oh,
songs
so they're all covers,
that
yeah.
are
Because I'm recognizing a
yes,
lot of, what the world needs now, "Fly Me to the Moon," like a lot of songs that I
yes,
know. Yeah.
yes, and those covers um are basically like like every little skit they kind of as we kind of go along the film, like the little movies that skit he's doing, that was based off of like a theme, like a trope that kind of started in like the 20s and like the 60s of like musicals wouldn't just be like it's not just like I don't know, like it's not like a um a Hamilton, right? Where all the songs are like just telling the whole story and you kind of follow it along. It's more like
It's more like a vibe.
a bunch of songs. Yeah, more like a
That
vibe. A
just
bunch of
kinda
songs that
fit
don't
and
really
make, like, a
connect.
loose kinda theme, but it's not so
Yes, a loose
narrative.
theme.
Okay.
Yes, and they call that a review, right? And that musical style is the
Mm.
style of is the same like style that of the songs he's singing,
See, I don't
right?
prefer that. I
And
prefer very plot-driven musicals like Hamilton, like Sweeney Todd, like every Disney
yes,
movie out there.
no, you're right. So to be honest with you, so do I because I felt when he was singing that the words that he was singing didn't matter as much as like the feeling that he was singing, if that makes sense.
No,
Like
yeah.
I just saw him singing and his dancing and I couldn't hear the words, but it didn't matter
Mm,
super much,
mm. I actually
you
think I
know.
I feel you. Yeah, it is more it isn't so much yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I do agree. And I guess that makes me appreciate the movie more because it isn't so much about the words. Like you said, the words what I realized is that they kind of subvert the words of songs to make it match the feeling and like aura and like mise en scène of the film. But you're right, it's not really so much the words because they're all delirious anyway. So it's really
Yeah,
just how
and
it feels, how it makes you feel. And
and the thing
Todd Phillips did say that. He said, yeah, he said it's more about how it makes you feel. So yeah, good on you for noticing that.
and the thing is, it makes sense because if this was all original songs, right, you have to focus on what they're saying and get
Yeah,
the
the songs would
words
be
and
plot
they would,
driven. The
yes,
songs would push
and
the
they really
storyline.
weren't.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because Arthur, when he grew up, he used to listen to like those show tunes with his mother, and they're called those type of films are called they are part of the Great American Songbook. You ever heard that before?
I have heard of it before.
Yeah, so
So
if you
what
played
songs are in
any
there? What like musicals are in there that I might know of? Or is it not
so the
musical
Great American
based?
Songbook. So here, so the Great American Songbook is basically a loosely defined canon of significant 20th century American jazz standards, popular songs, and show tunes, right? And these American standards are basically the song published during the golden age of this genre, including those popular enduring tunes from the 20s to the 50s
Okay.
that was created for Broadway theater, musical theater, and Hollywood musical film.
Okay.
So these movies are these songs, as and there's a lot of them, I'm looking through the list now to find something
That I don't worry about
that
it. If you can't find anything I recognize, then that's fine.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
watch. I haven't really sat down and watched old timey musicals, but yeah, I think yeah, you're right. Like the songs don't matter so much, but I think this song for once in my life, I think it does really. The words actually do fit with the feeling as much because he just met Harley. And even though they're telling him you have the death penalty, we're pushing for the death penalty, he doesn't really care. The lyrics are, for once in my some of the lyrics, for once in my life I have someone who needs me, someone I've needed so long. For once unafraid,
Yeah.
I go where life leads me. Somehow I know I'll be strong. So it's just like you have to think about it. Joker is a person, or Arthur Fleck is a person who was
Hmm.
very lonely his entire life.
Yep.
Just feeling like he was dealt the worst hand that the world can give him. And, the only one who he believed loved him was his mother and also his neighbor, Sophie. But then we realized that was all a figment of his imagination. So finding Harley, he's like, I don't even care about this death penalty. Someone
Hmm.
actually cares about me. So
Yeah.
everyone's saying, how do you feel, Arthur? They're going to put you in a chair, Arthur. And he's just like, oh my God, someone actually cares about me. So,
Yeah.
mm.
Yep. And I think that is a product of his disassociation too, right?
You
Where he
think
can't he
he
can't come to
definitely
grips with.
dissociating. Dissociating
Yes,
or
right.
having a fantasy? Because there is a difference. You think it's dissociating?
I think
Because when I say
it's
dissociating, I don't mean necessarily just. I mean like I don't mean necessarily like taking yourself somewhere else to distract yourself. I mean literally, you are removed
yeah.
involuntarily.
I know.
Okay,
I I know you read the clinical definition, right? I don't mean the clinical definition. I just mean like
okay. Because when I say it,
the
I mean the
textbook.
clinical definition. So okay,
Yes. No. I just means that he's like
he
not
needs an
worried
escape.
about it. He's not pressed about the death penalty right now because he left with Lee, right? Because he fell in love with Lee. Real quick, right?
Mm.
So when Jokan,
Joaquin, say
Joaquin, wow, Wa
Joaquin. Joaquin.
Joaquin. So when
Joaquin.
Joaquin
Okay. Think of it like you
and
saying a black person name for real, for Joaquin.
Joaquin. Okay, so Joaquin and uh, Lady Gaga, or her real name is like Stephanie something, right?
Yeah, that's right. I
So
don't know
when they
her real
were,
name.
yeah, I look, she has a long name, but her first name is Stephanie.
Okay.
Um, when they went to practice these songs, right? Obviously, Lady Gaga is an amazing singer, and she said that she
She's an
sung some of
amazing
these
singer, but I'm
songs.
not partial to her voice. But she can sing the house down, yeah.
Yeah, and she said that she sung these songs so many times that it was kind of hard for her to tune down her voice, because obviously um, Lee wasn't a professional
Hmm.
singer. So when she wasn't in the fantastical world in Arthur's mind, she had to basically like tone down her voice. But Arthur, on the other hand, right? Uh, Joaquin,
There
right?
you go.
He um he originally wanted to practice and like lip sing the
Yeah, he
dances.
wanted to be very like studio finished instead of like a raw
Yes,
performance. Yeah.
and Gaga was like, "No, do it live," right?
Mm.
Because she said that Arthur is not polished, so you shouldn't be.
Yeah, it wouldn't make
And
sense. It wouldn't make sense.
no,
It would sound
it wouldn't
good.
make sense.
It would sound good, but yeah.
Yeah, so
And plus, that man
Joaquin treated
smokes so
Arthur
much. You really think he's
just a raspy voice.
yeah.
So Joaquin treated Arthur as if he was a 14-year-old who falls in love for the first time and needs to sing to express his feelings. That's what Joaquin said in an interview, right? And him being that allowed him to say, "Okay, I'm a kid who don't know any better, and I'm in love for the first time,
Oh,
so
that's so
I just got to
sweet.
sing about it."
It's like you just
And that's kind of
fall
how he
in
treated
love
it.
with Arthur Fleck, even though he's a hot mess and a murderer. It's like your
Yes.
heart goes out for this man. It's like you're
Does
just
it? It seems like there's nothing to love. I just feel bad for him.
oh
Pity goes
no.
out for him, not my heart.
It's both. It's pity. I'm gonna get into it later, but do you want to move ahead
Yeah.
with the next segment?
Yeah.
Okay. One day in the music therapy room, during a screening of The Bandwagon, Lee starts a fire. During the frenzy, Lee and Arthur performed their first musical number, If My Friends Could See Me Now, as they manically jaunt around the prison grounds trying to escape. The two are eventually captured, and Arthur is placed in solitary confinement. Lee is allowed to visit him, and after she tells Arthur that Arkham is releasing her out of fear that Arthur poses a threat to her treatment and progress, the two have sex. Later, Marianne sets up an interview between Arthur and TV personality Patty Myers, while Arthur publicly confesses his love to Lee by singing Bewitched to her. So, I think this is kind of the point in the movie where I feel it's weird, a dip in interest, because I am not a fan of the musical number If My Friends Could See Me Now. And that's because, and I think you explained to me, I know it may be hypocritical because we just talked about how this is a
Yeah.
jukebox musical with no original songs, and how we're really supposed to go for the feel of the performances of the songs over the words. And maybe that honestly isn't my gripe now that I think about it. I just feel like this movie is called Folie Deux, like you said, which roughly translates to Madness for Two. I
Hmm.
just feel like this movie wasn't surreal enough. I understand that it's probably like a good reason why they chose to have them sing If My Friends Could See Me Now, not in a fantasy like some of the other musical numbers are, but it's just like we're talking madness. Like I just want it to be more trippy, more delirious, more surreal, more like the first animated sequence, Me and My Shadow. So I was a little bit disappointed by it. I'm like, okay, maybe they chose. I don't know, because my thing is they can still show them trying to escape prison and still have it look really crazy. And even later on, when they kind of do get into authors' very Broadway musical fantasies, I guess it's just not what was expecting. Like I understand that's the framework. They wanted to make, you know, a jukebox musical, of the American songbooks, what you call those?
Yeah, the American standards,
The
right?
American
American,
standards sort of feel,
yes.
but I guess it's not what I was expecting. So I was kind of disappointed by that. And Lady
I so
yeah.
so I kind of disagree. I thought so. I wasn't really thinking about the songs. Once again, I could barely hear anything they were singing, right? So I didn't realize what song they were singing while watching the movie. But I guess the things that stood out to me was one, how fast the fire spread. Because all she did was throw a little
There was
fire in the
no oil.
piano, and then
Did she
yeah, just no, she didn't have anything.
she
There
just
was
had a
no, like you
lighter?
said, no accelerator. Yeah, she just like act like she was smoking, lit a fire, threw it in the piano,
So what? She
right?
like lit
Which
a piece of paper and threw it in the piano? I can't remember.
yeah, threw it in the piano, and it was like she dropped a grenade in there, and because when they all escaped, half the wing of like the hospital was engulfed in flames, and then they ran outside, and I originally thought they escaped that easily, and then people were running around and everything, and then I thought it was funny when they were singing and they ran, they both jumped to the gate and they tried to climb the gate, and you just see them and how ridiculous they look and how they have no chance of making it, and they get dragged away, but they're laughing as while they
Yeah,
get
they
dragged
were they were
away.
manic.
To,
They were manic. They were
yes,
spinning a manic
and to
high.
me that sounded crazy enough to me. That's realistic crazy. Besides the speed of the fire, and then the second thing that confused
Well, what do you mean?
the
What do you
total heck
mean?
out of me.
What do you mean? You think
What do you mean?
what is being like delirious have to do with the fire? You're just saying that was realistic
No,
enough for
I'm
the
saying you said it wasn't you said it wasn't crazy enough.
Oh, okay.
And I'm saying I disagree. That was crazy as ever because it was a terrible plan. Where are you going to go? It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
illogical.
yeah, yeah. The actual what they did is actually crazy, but I just wish the presentation of that, like I expected it to be like I expected different sets to swap in and like different colors and like costumes and like I expected this
Oh,
movie to be I expected this movie to be a full descent into madness, a progressive
okay,
descent into madness. And it is that. It is that. It definitely is that. And I'll talk about it later. Like it is shared madness, not even for two, it's shared freaking madness. But like I said, I expected
yeah,
it to be very surreal presenting.
okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Think about
The way you described it, I thought about like Inception, like how the road just flip, like just complete obvious. This is not the real world. You know what I mean? Like you're in something like I don't know, just multiple
yeah,
layers of
yeah.
layers
Yeah,
of
yeah, and Inception is but
psychosis.
it's weird because Inception is it is very surreal, but it makes sense in the structure of the film. At James, I thought I was gonna be I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I'm looking at, and that's okay because I'm so into it. But now that I've seen the you just you I'm more okay with it now. I'm more okay with it now. It makes
Yeah.
sense. But for me, I remember after watching this movie, I made a note. I'm just like, I'm just so sick of directors being too scared to make a musical. It just
Mm,
felt like the music scenes when I first saw it, it felt like filler. It felt like they weren't interested enough to really they weren't interested enough to even be a part of the story. I was like, we
yeah.
don't really need these jobs because they're not that interesting. They're not that interesting. But
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know what the words were, and I was okay. You know what I mean? So,
but
um, th-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, I was about to just get to that sex scene, right? So first, so Arthur is in solitary confinement. He's in a hole, right? And he's laying there, and he wakes up, and um, Lee is just sitting there next to him, and she's like, "Are you real?" And he said, "Yeah." She said, "Yeah, they let me in." And I was thinking, what's the point of solitary confinement, but then you let this nigga get a conjugal visit? It makes no sense at all. I'm like, she said, "Are you real?" I'm like, of course she's not real. Until they made reference to it later, and I'm like, how was that sex scene a thing? I don't understand it at all. He's a murderer, and he killed 5 people. He's on death row, right, or potentially going to be on death row, and he tried to escape, and you gonna give him a conjugal visit? None of it made any sense.
Yeah, because my thing is if her if she's saying that they're letting her go because they think that he is a bad influence on her, then why would
Why would
they
they let
let
her see
him
him?
yeah, why would they let them see each other? Yeah.
It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and then like the sex scene itself, and she had makeup. Where'd she get makeup from?
You know, I watched this
She
one
gave him makeup.
yeah. There's this one like prisoner in a woman's prison and she makes makeup out of like she I watched her make like foundation out of like Pepsi and like other things in her cell. Like
Yeah, because people get, but
yeah,
she didn't
it
have
wasn't
like
jail makeup. That was like makeup
toilet
makeup.
toilet wine version of makeup. Yeah,
Yeah. That was like
she had
CVS. That
Estee
was
Lauder.
NARS. That was Elf. So
You
yeah, and
know.
he's like, yeah, so he was like, you brought makeup. And this is when we really see that Lee is not interested in Arthur Fleck at all.
Mm-mm.
She's there for Joker. And she reminds me once we realize later, I'm like, okay, you know how there's a serial killer and there's always like he always have these followers, these normally women who comes to their trials and wears his t-shirts and like sends him letters in the mail with nudes. There's always the fanatic. There's always someone who idolizes the worst people in society. Like she's just a groupie. You know what I mean? Like when you watch these true crime documentaries, like they're just women who writes letters and sends nudes to imprisoned serial killers and shows up at their trials. You know what I mean?
Oh crap!
She's a groupie.
She's just a groupie.
She like
She's
think
just part
about
of the
Marilyn
bandwagon.
Manson, think about Ted Bundy, like
Yo, she's part of the bandwagon,
yeah.
and that was the movie they were watching. I just put two and two together.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like,
Let's talk about bandwagon. What significance do you
Yeah,
think that
so
has to
so
this film, them watching it in the music therapy room?
yeah, so Bandwagon, right, is a musical comedy. It came out in 1953.
Okay.
It's a musical comedy about Tony Hunter, a once famous star trying to revive his career. He agrees to be in a new Broadway show, but the director's artsy version is over the top and the show seems like a mess. Tony also clashes with his co-star ballerina Gabriella um, Gerard, though they eventually grow closer. When the production starts falling apart, Tony and the cast decide to change it into a simpler, fun musical review. Their hard work pays off and the show becomes a big hit. The film is known for its catchy songs and fantastic dance numbers starring Fred Astaire and Sid Cherase.
So this
So
movie
I
is
think,
about people making a movie? A musical?
well, the movie, yes, the movie is about people making a musical,
Okay.
right? And turning it to a review. Remember, we said a review is a type of theatrical show that features a series of short, loosely connected performances.
Okay.
There's a song and dances and comedy sketches,
Okay.
right? So that it's it's so the theme of the movie itself has parallels to the Joker, just like the framework, you know. Um, but the fact that bandwagon also has a second connotation where bandwagon fans are the folks who only like good teams
Mm.
or like
That's
rock
me.
concerts when they're at their best. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like all these Chiefs fans in Oklahoma City, for example, right? Like the
Eagles
Chiefs
fans is
win two
like
Super
that too.
Bowls
We
in
can't
a
talk. We are not loyal fans. As soon as Jason Hurts does one thing wrong, it's like, oh, Jalen. I said
Jalen
Jason.
Hurts.
As soon as he does one thing wrong, y'all in the group chat be like, "Oh, he's terrible." I was like, "Y'all got no faith."
Yes, and that's exactly who Lee is, and all the other people who followed, like you said, the Joker. They're all bandwagons. If you give
I'm
them what
drinking
they
water.
want, right, which is in this case winning or the Joker being the Joker, give them what they want, they love you. And when you don't, boo.
So, what did you think of his interview? Arthur, he has a very good defense attorney. I'm like, Marianne, you are wasting your time on this man. Like, um, but she sets up an interview with the TV personality Patty Myers, and I really, like I said, Joaquin Phoenix is giving his all in this portrayal. Um, so pretty much Patty is he is he is disputing the whole that wasn't me, that was Joker who killed all those people. And he's just like, he kind of like comes at Arthur's neck for a second. He's like, he says, you know, like, if you're not Joker, then who are you? Like, a low IQ failed comedian who lives with his mother. And there's this one point where Arthur, he gets really upset. And Arthur, he pretty much says the same thing when he gets upset. His argument is always the same. You don't care about me. You're like everyone else. And he kind of said this, and just how the way he like fumbled over his words and he got so flustered. And it's like, yo, he really reminds me of, like, he really is portraying a person of low IQ trying to who's upset. You know what I mean? He don't has the right words to say. He just has so much emotions that he can't really verbalize because he doesn't have the vocabulary, you know what I mean? He doesn't have, and it's just, he humanizes the character so well. Like, I was like, when
Yeah.
he like, do you remember that? He was like stumbling with his words. He's like, you don't even care. You just care about the person I was then, and you don't even, and it's just like, my God, like, my God, I know this person. I've seen this person before in real life. So, woof, it gave me goosebumps. It really gave me goosebumps. And that's something that I thought about long after watching the movie. But like I said,
Hmm.
watching this Patty Mayer's interview, Myers? Myers interview, like I said, I was kind of, like I said, when when the DID diagnostic was first brought, I believed it. Watching this, I was like, I don't believe it. I don't buy it anymore. So you really don't know. And I do like that shroud of mystery, like, well, we don't really know what's happening, you know? So
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So continuing, during Arthur's trial, the prosecution calls witnesses to dispute the defense's insanity claims. Marianne notices that Arthur's obsession with Lee is hurting their defense, so she reveals to him that Lee lied about her background. Lee is actually a psychiatry student from a wealthy family and that she voluntarily checked herself in and out of Arkham. Arthur confronts Lee and she admits that she lied because she wanted him to like her. She tells him then that she is pregnant. So, when she said, right, when, I guess one, right? So, when Lee comes to visit Arthur in jail after his interview, right, and he talks about how she went to school and, accuses her, and she's like, yep, that was me, and I came here to find you. I was thinking that discredit everything for her to me, I guess. Like I'm like, what is her intent? You know what I mean? Like what is she really trying to do? Is she just trying to play a game? Is she just like
I think she's a
um
fan. She is a crazed fan. Like I said, she's a groupie. She's a serial
yeah,
killer
she's
groupie who used her influence and wealth, and she's a manipulator to get into the prison because she wanted to meet Joker. Because,
yeah,
yeah, listen, we know that she lied about the abuse, but there's still something very wrong with Harleen Quinzel. There's something
yes, no,
very
you're
wrong with
right.
her. So
What did you think when she said I'm pregnant? First I was like, that sex was real?
it didn't take much.
I'm like, not just that, but she really got in there.
James, the pull-out method
Like
don't work. Like,
no, I mean
oh,
she got into the cell.
oh, oh,
That's
oh, yeah.
like she really got in the cell. I thought this whole thing
It's
was
funny how
just
we're talking about two different things.
imagination. I know.
Yeah, no, that is true. In the first film, there was Arthur fantasized a lot about his neighbor Sophie Dumond
Hmm.
to realize they were just fantasies, like the things never happened. So I did wonder that too. Sometimes I was like, is what we're watching actually happening? But I think it
Hmm.
was, but I don't really.
It did. Because she wouldn't be able to tell him she's pregnant unless they smash.
But she
So
couldn't have been. There's a possibility that she wasn't even there at all.
that she was never was
Yeah,
there.
because remember in the first movie, like he was imagining Sophie with him visiting his mother in the hospital, Sophie with him
Hmm.
at his comedy show, Sophie with him like having full conversations with her, and she wasn't there for any of
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So his delusions. Now I'm like, yeah, he has DID. He has now. But okay, so what we haven't gotten into it. If you want to, how do you feel about Lady Gaga's performance as essentially Harley Quinn? Or a version of Harley Quinn.
So I think Lady Gaga is a chameleon, right? Every time I see her, she looks completely different to me. Like her
DQ said the
hair,
same
her
thing. He was like,
makeup.
I have no idea what this woman looks like.
No idea what she looks like. And I kind of feel the same way about Johnny Depp, right?
Johnny Depp
Like,
looks like the same pale white man in every movie.
no, he doesn't. No, he
Yes, he
doesn't. No, he doesn't.
does.
No, he doesn't. I don't care.
Okay.
Johnny Depp can walk in right now, and I'm like, who are
You
you?
know,
Like,
you know what I was watching I just decided I was like, let me watch the very first Nightmare on Elm Street. That was
mm,
Johnny Depp's debut.
oh, really?
Yeah. He's so young. He looks like he's like between 16 and 19. That was his first big screen appearance. He used to
Wow.
play in a band
But,
before that, I think.
but, but, but yeah. Anyway, so I think she did well. I think that when they allowed her to open up and sing, she was singing.
So you think she did
I
well?
think
Okay, explain to me how what you think she was good at. So singing, yeah.
yes, I thought her singing she was really good at. I thought that she didn't have the opportunity to show that she was manic and crazy like Harley Quinn
Like
was.
our dear Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie,
I
exactly.
tried
She
so
didn't.
hard not to compare her to Margot because those are two different portrayals. The films are completely different. Margot
Yeah,
Robbie's Harley Quinn takes a completely different route. But I did
yeah.
miss her. I missed a little mixture of the New York, Boston, Jersey accent. Like, "Hey,
No,
Mr.
you're right.
J." You know, I did miss that, but
You're right. She didn't have an accent at all.
no, and they could make it
It
fit
just
in a
wasn't
very
needed.
sick way. They could make it fit in the surreal version of the movie that I was thinking of. They could make it fit and
Yeah.
still make it very dark, but, you know, the way they went, it's fine. She doesn't have to be the the Harley Quinn that we know from the animated series, you know what I mean, or in the comics. She doesn't
Yeah.
have to call him Puddin', you know, even though
Yeah.
I thought it was so cute, but
Yeah. So I guess the thing I struggled with, and I know we're gonna get there, but Harley Quinn in all situations was always a ride or die, and she was not that, and that's why like Harley Quinn wasn't a bandwagon fan. You know what I mean? Like she
she was for
loved.
Joker, not for Arthur.
I know, but it just I don't know. It's weird. So I guess I still liked it though. I didn't think she did a bad job.
So I thought she was boring. I thought she was boring as hell. I feel like she talked like a Kardashian the entire time.
Hmm.
She was like, "You're Joker." I'm just like, "Girl, you're Joker." How do
Yeah.
and she just I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I am so cultured that I fully appreciate the arts of subtlety in acting. You
Yeah.
know, there's some things it will go over my head, you know? Not saying I need, like, the Deliverance where there's no subtlety whatsoever, but it's just she just felt very one note to me the
Yeah.
entire time, and maybe I would stand for her more, like I said, I understand that Lady Gaga can sing her face off,
Hmm.
but like I said, her voice I've never been a Gaga fan, so maybe that's why I didn't feel that connection, and I just felt like I hate it.
You don't like Poker Face? Poker Face.
I only
That's a
like the
bop.
part which is like rah 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 rah. No, that's bad. That's bad romance. I don't even know. I like bad romance. You and me can start a bad romance. And I
Hmm.
liked
Whoa, whoa,
Paparazzi because I just like the theme
whoa.
of Paparazzi. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I've never seen A Star Is Born. And like I said, I was just sick of her lip filler.
Her lip filler.
Every time they show that profile, never mind. I try not to talk about the actors themselves appearance, but I'm just
We do it every episode, Mary.
I know, and I try you do it every episode. I try to keep it on lock. But
Yeah.
yeah, she just talked like a Kardashian to me and just like I don't know, the when they were in the cell, she says to him, after the conjugal visit, she says, "We're gonna build a mountain." And I was like, "That's the
Yeah.
stupidest line I ever heard in my subs."
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna build a mountain.
There's
I'm trying to figure out what does that
and
mean.
jumping forward, there's this one, scene that's unintentionally funny. She's in the courtroom outside of Arthur's trial, and she says to the reporters who are gathered out there, "We're gonna build a mountain." And some reporter says, "What? What does that mean?" In response, I cracked up. I was like, "That wasn't supposed to be funny," but they were just like, "What? What does that mean?"
What does that mean? We're gonna build a mountain.
But,
I don't know. It was stupid enough that like only thing I thought about was remember the Dark Knight where the real Joker had a mountain full of money and he set the mountain on fire. That's what I thought about. We're going to build a mountain, just maybe that or a mountain of their enemies. Who
I think
knows?
she's just
Like
crazy. I just think she's
as they
crazy.
think.
Like, yeah, yeah. I don't know. She didn't really put her stamp on the character on Harley, And I'm just like, can you do something besides look distant and lovesick? Like, but it just may be the script not really giving her a lot to work with. But
Yeah.
you want to move along? The second day of the trial, Arthur is humiliated by Sophie Dumont's testimony and decides to take control of his own narrative by firing his lawyer, Marianne, and representing himself. I'll try it again. The second day of the trial, Arthur is humiliated by Sophie Dumont's testimony and decides to take control of his own narrative by firing his lawyer, Marianne, and representing himself. He is in his full Joker regalia. Joker cross examines former party clown co worker Gary Puddles, who was brought to the stand by the prosecution to speak on how Arthur ruthlessly murdered Randall in front of Gary. During the trial, Arthur also marks the guards at Arkham and alludes to their corruption. He pays for his words that night. The guards physically and psychologically abuse him, breaking his spirit and shattering his Joker persona. So, this
I thought they raped him, yo.
why?
Just like when they brought him back and they just threw him in the bathroom and he was like they ripped his pants off and he was laying there. I thought they sodomized him or something. I
They
was like, what
probably
did they do to
did.
this man?
Sick bastards. They probably did.
It's it's a shame.
They it's just disgusting because things like that really happen. Like, I understand there are terrible people in prison. That doesn't give you free rein to treat people like garbage, but I'm gonna stop talking because I know that's a hot button issue.
No, it's true. You can't treat people like garbage. People deserve their dignity,
People deserve
right?
their
Regardless,
dignity, but they do. But sometimes, when someone does something really sick, it's like
it's still they deserve their
they deserve
dignity.
their dignity. They deserve their
They deserve
dignity.
their
Yeah,
dignity.
yeah.
They do.
But to me, this is my favorite part of the entire film. I think this is when the film really shines. I was glued to the big screen. And once again, Joaquin Phoenix. So, what was interesting to me about Puddles and Arthur's cross examination of Puddles.
Yeah.
It was so Gary Puddles. I'm not trying to what's it, infantilize small people and him just walking into the courtroom all scared. Everyone went, "Oh!" Like, y'all did that on purpose. Y'all did that on purpose. And him just saying, I've never been afraid before. I am a scared person now. After seeing, because you
Mhm.
remember in Joker, he killed his coworker Randall, the man who gave him the gun, and then tried to lie about it. Then he like banged his head. He killed him. He killed him right in front of Gary, and then told Gary he could leave. Do you remember that? He killed him in his own apartment.
I kind of remember. Did he like bang his head against the door or
Yeah,
something like that?
it was blunt force trauma to his skull multiple times.
Yeah,
He was in a
yeah,
frenzy. And then that same night he went on TV and shot a man. Shot a
yeah.
man on live TV. Iconic. But yeah, so like when he's cross-examining Puddles and he's just I he puts on like this southern accent.
Yes, he puts on a southern accent, right? And he comes up to him and he's like, Puddle's like, he didn't deserve to die. He was like, well, I won't get to that right now. I was dying,
He
yo.
turns full foghorn langhorn, like, and I'm like, and I've seen people do this before in comedies. I think in It's Always Sunny, you know, Charlie
Yeah, Charlie Day.
swears he's
He
a
gets.
lawyer in bird law or whatever. And
Hmm.
I'm like, is this a callback to like maybe the Kill a Mockingbird movie? Maybe they're acting like Atticus Finch or something.
Yeah, maybe because he was a southern lawyer. You're right, right? Just if you use a southern accent and walk away and just walk a certain way, you can pretend to be a lawyer if you sound
I guess
intelligent,
Southern
even
accents
though
really sway juries. But it was
I don't
hilarious
know.
because it just really shows that this is such he is such a childish character. And
Yes.
like you said that before Harley Quinn is always the ride or die. She was always the one being manipulated. So now it's interesting to see her being the manipulator. And like I said, I think it really this scene, I said earlier that Todd Phillips did not set out to establish the origin story of the Joker as we know it. And I think this scene right here shows that, yeah, it's a really good thing that he didn't because it wouldn't make sense. The Joker we know it is
Yes.
cunning. He's not low
Yes.
IQ. He's
Yes.
manipulative.
Yes. I
Arthur
thought
Fleck is
I thought
not
that
that.
same I thought the same way, right? I thought when he was like, I'm representing myself, and he got up there and he was cross examining Puddles, and I thought he had like just turned on something inside of himself and was gonna ask some good questions, but he was just an idiot.
Yeah. He was just
And then
performing.
he was just performing, right? And he just made people laugh, and I was like, he's getting he's getting a death penalty. Like, there's no way he's winning. There's no
Yeah.
way he's
Yeah.
winning.
It's just, and it makes sense. So off, after it is hilarious him cross-examining Puddles, and then he has the fantasy about him and Lee singing, and then he kills Harvey, and then he takes a mallet and like bashes the judge. It was very fun. But, after he alludes to the abuse that's happening at Arkham, and then the guards potentially break him, it just really calls into question. It's like, okay, so is the Joker facade breaking? Is it even a facade? Like when the lawyers tries to use the dissociative identity disorder approach for his defense, Arthur isn't buying it as much as the prosecution isn't buying it. No one's buying it. And it makes the audience wonder, like, how, like, you never know. It makes us wonder. So it makes perfect sense that Arthur wants to be Joker over Arthur. Arthur is a loser, a nobody, a freak, invisible, the adopted and abused child who grew up to be a man who lives with his mother, who doesn't respect him, or his pipe dreams of becoming a comedian. But Joker? Joker has power. People see
Yep.
Joker and listen to him and even want to be him. And he's never experienced that before, so why go back? And
Yeah.
that's why he fired Marianne, like, because, you know, Sophie Dumont, played by Zazie Beetz, she was on the stand and she was pretty much saying all the horrible things that his own mother said about him. And he's just like, no, I don't want to be known as that guy. I'm coming as Joker. I don't want to be Arthur anymore. I don't care if that means that I spend my life in prison. He's not thinking that far ahead. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that mental capacity to really do that. He's just like, I remember he said in the first film, I'm going on a tangent, but I just think it's really interesting. Um, Let me see if I can find it in my notes. In my notes. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. Sing with me, James. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. In my notes.
In my
In my
notes, let
notes.
me
Let
see
me
if I
see if
can
I can
find it.
find
Let
it
me
in
see
my
if
notes.
I can
Can
find
I
it.
find it in
Find
my
it, find
notes?
it,
I
find
can't
it,
find
find
it
it,
in
find
my
it,
notes.
find it, find it, find it, find it, find
But
it,
I'm
find it,
scrolling
find it,
through my
find it,
notes.
find it, find it, find
Scrolling
it.
through my
Okay.
notes. Yeah, I'm scrolling through my notes. Uh. Okay. So there's this one scene in the first movie. Arthur says it a few times. He says, you know, he says to on the Murray Franklin show before he shoots him, you know, he was like, he doesn't understand why everyone is so concerned about the Wall Street businessmen that he gunned down on the train. He said, you guys are so worried about them, but if it was me dying on a sidewalk, you'd walk right over me. And even
Mm.
earlier in the film, he's at a comedy club and you kind of see in his notebook, like his notes that he writes, it says something is, um, what does it say? He says, ugh, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, he
Where is
writes
it?
in his journal/comedy book, I just hope my death makes more sense. He spells sense CENCS than my life. And then it says, like,
Mm.
some things that you can't read it. It says, can you imagine that? Dead on the sidewalk with people stepping over you. Maybe he's happier, but I don't want to die with just people stepping over me. I want people to see me.
Mm.
So for him, it's like, okay, they're telling me they're pushing for the death penalty. Do I want to die as the loser Arthur Fleck, or do I want to die as Joker? Joker,
Yeah.
who's literally inspired. He is the shared madness.
Yeah.
I like the idea, maybe I'm going too far, but he is the shared madness. There's literally people rioting on the streets because of him. Why the hell would I go back to being Arthur?
No, you're right. You're right. And even, Todd Phillips, he said that too. He said that, a madness for two, a shared madness, could be the Joker and Harvey Harley Quinn, but also could be the Joker and Arthur, right? Basically the shared madness between them,
Yeah, him in
and
his
what
shadow.
and what him in the shadow, right? And you just put another point, right? It could be Joker in
The
society,
whole
because
Gotham.
think about how corrupt society has to be,
Mm.
right? That when someone get murdered on TV, someone who was publicly loved, right? He was a talk show host. He was basically like a Jimmy Fallon, right?
Mm.
Someone who was publicly loved gets shot on national TV, and this man gets a following, right? He kills two kids on the subway,
They weren't kids, they were
right?
grown men.
But I'm just saying, like young adults
Violent young
on the
adults.
subway, right? And he gets a following, right?
Yeah, I think it's
It's
because
a type of
it's what they it's because they politicized a lot of things that he did with the businessman. They see it. Okay, yeah, screw big business. They're screwing us over. These Wall Street guys are making a profit off our all detriment. That's how they see it.
mhm,
But I get
yeah,
you. I get you. It's like you guys are just condoning murder. Okay, okay,
murder,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So moving on, right? So the next day in court, during his closing arguments, a heartbroken Arthur rejects his Joker persona and takes full responsibility for his crimes. Furious at his decision, Lee storms out, and the jury finds Arthur guilty of murder on all
Mm.
counts. As a third person reads the verdict, a car bomb detonates outside the courthouse, killing and injuring many, leaving half a dense face severely scarred. Amid the chaos, two of Arthur's followers help him escape.
That's that. That's the Folie do right there. That's the shared
Yep.
madness. It's everywhere. Yeah, and I knew that was gonna happen. That was kind of predictable. I was like, okay, when's the courthouse? When is Harley? I thought Harley gonna blow up this courthouse and get him out of here. I was waiting for it. So,
Because it was in the previews, right?
oh, I didn't watch any of the previews.
I didn't
I
intentionally
just see
watch it,
that
but I
a
remember
lot. I
seeing
see that a lot, and people literally blowing up the courthouse to bust somebody out. So,
the best
if the
funny,
feds
yeah,
ever come for me, James, you know what to do.
just blow it up. I was extremely disappointed that this nigga gave up so easy.
Who gave up so easily?
Right, the Joker, right? Like this whole thing, right? I when watching it, right, and I was like, I was expecting him to come up with like at least a somewhat believable closing argument. And he just sat down, like, yeah, I killed those people. It was me. There's no Joker. And I killed my mom. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what taking responsibility, how does that help
I
you?
think that makes
Right?
perfect sense. But I'll let you finish.
I didn't get it at all because I thought, you know, that he was the Joker. I'm like, until the thing blew up, when it blew up and they busted him out, I'm like, cool. He's about to go with these guys. He's about to escape with them, and he's about to go underground and build his crime syndicate and really be the Joker. But he doesn't. Instead, he runs away from him, scared, and like he basically discards all the power and stuff that he just got, and he's
But I gotta
basically
ask you a
innocent
question.
Arthur again. Yeah,
He's not do you really think he's capable of doing anything? Any of that? Mentally capable? He literally got manipulated by a little white girl.
yeah,
That's not
I
him.
know.
That's not him. And like I said, I think that's why it makes perfect sense that Todd said, I did not set out to make a film, an origin film of the Joker as we know it. The Joker we know it.
Yeah.
What is his name? God rest his soul. The Joker in the Dark Knight
Oh,
played by Heath
Heath
Ledger.
Ledger.
Extremely intelligent, extremely
Hmm.
cunning. He wants power, for his own sick, depraved reasons, but he is literally a crime boss. Arthur
Hmm.
didn't ask for any of this. Arthur was just a person who's messed up in the head, who's fed up, and it just showed out. The only
Yeah.
reason why he took on the Joker persona again is because Harley was there. Like I said, for once in my life, there's someone who wants me. He was doing it all for
Mm.
her.
Yeah.
So when they broke him, the real Arthur came back. You know what I mean? I
And when she left the king, he
He
came
came
back.
back.
No, no, she didn't. No, she didn't leave yet.
Yeah, she didn't leave just yet. We didn't talk about it. But yeah, it's just like, and I think I really like the idea of the Joker as an entity. Cause you know what I mean? It's like any of us can be Joker. And DQ said it too. I remember he was like, because I was saying that too. I was like, yo, it makes sense what happens at the end of the movie. We'll get into it because I'm like, it doesn't make sense from him to be the Joker that we know. He's just not smart enough. He doesn't have the
Yeah,
motivations. He
yeah,
cannot be the Joker that we know. Instead, everyone else is the Joker. So I think he inspires the actual Joker, you know? So
yeah.
it's just I yeah, so I agree with you. I was disappointed because we love the character. We really love the character and we want to see more of him. But it's like it makes perfect sense, but I was a little disappointed, but I don't think that's a bad thing because it just to me it really it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and from I guess let's push through, and I'll have my final thoughts, and we
And
can discuss.
Arthur can tap dance his ass off.
He was tap dancing
Yeah.
though.
Build me a mountain.
He was
He
dancing.
reminds you of like
Yeah.
the slow kid who goes to church and then just like, you know, he can't read scripture, but when it's time to dance, he can dance better than everybody. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, what were you
Um,
saying?
no, I was gonna say. I was just gonna continue on. So Arthur wanders through Gotham and crosses paths with Lee outside his own apartment. She rejects him for abandoning his Joker identity and walks away. Shortly after, the police catch Arthur and return him to Arkham. The following day, a young inmate approaches him, starts telling a joke, and then repeatedly stabs Arthur in the abdomen. As Arthur bleeds out, his attackers carve a smile into his own face, laughing all the while. And that's how the movie ends.
And I was really sad. Like
Yeah.
I was really sad. Like I said, I love the character. So not seeing knowing that his story ends there, I was hoping no, he's not really dead. But like I said, it doesn't logically it doesn't make sense. Like he's not going to be the Joker we know because Batman was literally a child when he saw him 2 years ago. Joker's like
Mm,
probably in his mid 40s or so.
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like he's going to be 80-year-old fighting a man in a bat costume. But also like I said because of his personality, his intellect, how he's easily manipulated. Like Harley Quinn was a Joker. She was more of the Joker. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. So for him to be the person we expected him to be, but I was very sad. I was very disappointed, but I don't hold that against the movie. I think it was a good decision. What do you think?
I um I was upset, like you said, because I didn't realize that there was a disconnect. And I think a lot of people didn't realize that there was a disconnect between the real Joker from the comic
Yeah,
books, the villain,
I
and
didn't
this.
realize that in the first film. I might have thought about it the second time I watched it before I saw this one. I think I might have thought about it, but it wasn't to this film, and I was like, "Oh, this can't be him." Even before he died, I'm like, "That doesn't make any sense." No, no, the first
Yeah.
one I thought about it because of the age difference between him and like I said, Batman. I did think of it. But
Mm.
yeah, this film I was like, "Nah." Even before I was like, this can't be him." Yeah.
I just I didn't like I said, I had hope that not that so much that he would get acquitted. I didn't think that would happen. But I had hope that he would get free and like with Harley at his side would turn into that syndicate boss, but when he gets shanked and set up, it was just like, dag, this is just
It's just a sad story
another.
all around.
It's just a sad story. Like this is the tragedy of a man who painted his face. This is a tragedy of a clown, not the Joker, right? And they barely showed it, but I did see the guy who killed him, who shanked him. carving his face open. And I was like, is this nigga gonna act like the Joker now? I didn't think that this might be the true Joker. I was just thinking, oh, he's gonna act like he's gonna take on him now or
He
whatever. I
caught
was just
Joker
confused.
madness. He
He
was
caught
the
him.
whole film, you saw him kinda salivating over Arthur the whole time. So we knew something he was, like, touching his lips and, like that wasn't the dude that Arthur kissed, but there was another dude who was just kinda, like, watching him and, like, touching his lips and salivate. He was obviously, like, kind of obsessed with him. And,
Mm.
he's crazy, he's violently insane. So,
And the guards set him up.
yeah, because who gave him the shiv?
The guards set him up. They was like, hey, there's someone waiting for you or whatever, and they set him up. And that happens all the time in prison. The
There
guards will
is.
set you up. They isolate you. They
Because
go
I thought
walk
Harley
around.
was waiting for him, and the crazy man just saw the opportunity. I don't think I think
Mm-mm.
he literally thought that Arthur would think it was funny, by the way, but
His joke.
I do not think it was like, "Imma kill you." I think he literally thought it would be funny because he
No,
was
no.
cracking up. He was laughing as he laid dying, and then he carved his own face into a smile. I think he literally thought it was a joke, like, this man is insane. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't think it was a setup. I thought he just caught him at a bad time.
And so apparently, I was looking at Joaquin. He apparently loved the way that Arthur died because he said that at the end, Arthur, like you said, Arthur wanted to be seen, and someone stopped him to tell him a joke, and that was important to Arthur, even though he was facing death row, even though like he was on his way to find to do he think what he hoped was Lee, right? He stopped to listen to this person tell a joke because he believed that he was there to make people happy, to make people smile,
Mhm.
right? So him going out like that, we thought was like just sweet in a kind of way.
Yeah, it's, like, bittersweet. Yeah.
I didn't think that at all. I thought it was just dang you shanked. I think that just the actor trying to raise his death to me more significance. I just thought that he got shanked in a prison cell. Just they did him dirty. So
Yeah, I get what he now that he say it, I get it though. Arthur just wanted to be a comedian. He didn't expect for all this to happen. But like I said, when he had
mm,
the opportunity, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going back to being a nobody." But I have a
yeah,
question for you before we close. Do you
okay,
believe, well, before we give our ratings, but do you believe it is the civil duty of everyone to reach out to the outcast and the overlooked? Is it our job not to just step over people in the street? Are stories like Arthur Fleck a failure on us as a whole society, of us not being more involved? And because a constant theme in the first film was just feeling like people weren't listening to him. He felt like his social worker wasn't listening to him. He felt like his employer wasn't listening to him. He felt like Murray wasn't listening to him. He just felt like he was crying out for help and everyone else just turned a blind eye. So do you think he represents a failure on us as a society? Okay.
absolutely. I think that society we don't. It's weird, right? I feel like people would don't mind doing like donations to the Salvation
Mhm.
Army, or they don't mind like doing Toys for Tots, or
Mhm.
just giving something and then not
Because you can get a
touching, or
tax
like
write-off from it.
right, but not
No,
just
I get
that,
you,
but
yeah.
it's easy to
Be anonymous.
help anonymously and not walk away. But tell me how many people actually goes into a hospital where people are dying and help,
Mhm.
or how many people actually volunteer to work with like the mentally
Or
disabled
just
or
not step
disturbed
over homeless people
or
subconsciously.
not step over homeless people who are laying there, right? Because
Sleeping on a freaking vent from the subway to stay warm.
yes, and even like we do not, America society, we do not take care of our most vulnerable, right? People, right?
You sound like a
The poor,
communist. Say
the
no.
elderly,
Yeah.
the weak. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Our veterans. We don't do a good
We
job
have a
of taking
very
care.
individualistic mindset, I feel like.
Yes, individual, exactly what you
Mhm.
said, right? And the best solution we have is get them off the street and throw them in a home or throw them in a insane hospital and just keep them away from the rest of us because they're ewy, you
Mm,
know. And I think what your question is very profound. That yeah, it's a he's a product, not 100%, right, but he festered. His personality was able to fester because no one really cared.
that's a strong word, fester.
Yeah,
Yeah, it festered. Poor thing.
yeah. So what would you rank this movie, Mary?
Yo, I've been struggling because like I said, I still some of the musical numbers they were a chore to get through. But the movie looked absolutely fantastic. Like I said, Joaquin Phoenix really shone in this movie. I love the costumes. I love the it's weird. Like I like the songs they chose. I did like the songs they chose. Like I like the I forget what you keep saying. I like the songs they chose. It's
The
just
American
yeah.
standards.
For me, it's like the movie did not need to be 2 hours and 18 minutes long. Sometimes the music scenes felt like filler. Like sometimes they didn't feel interested enough to really take up as much space as they did. And like I said, well, no, you know what? I'll let that go. I'll let that go. Sometimes watching a director interview and doing more research on the film, once I realize the intent of the director, it changes how I feel about the film because like, okay, if that was your intent and if you prove that intent well, then you did a good job. As opposed to me coming in with what I thought the film was going to be. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a trippy, surreal descent into madness, where literally the lines between reality and fantasy were so blurred, I didn't know what was happening. That wasn't the intent of the film. I just went on the name of the title. So I will give this movie, I still give this movie a large bag of popcorn. I
Mm.
still give this movie a large bag. Not the largest though. Maybe like I said with maybe like a
we
large
can
bag of popcorn that isn't filled all the way. I know it's cheating.
we can come up with some more
No, I don't think we need to. I
granularities.
think I just need to stand 10 toes. I give this movie a medium bag of popcorn.
Whoa, that was 10 toes, but you changed them. Like 10 toes, but you
Because
stood back.
if I'm going to say do we have an extra large?
We normally do milk
Not us
duds,
not knowing our rating.
small, medium, large, right? I watched that, John. Is this a watch that, John, or no,
It's a
Mary?
watch that John. It's a watch that John. Definitely. I enjoyed the movie. I had a good
Yeah.
time. Yeah. It's a large bag of popcorn. Stand at 10 toes. Final answer.
Okay. So I am also torn
Well, tell me how you feel
because
about Gaga, because I
before
just want to know how you felt about her.
I like Gaga, I don't have a problem
Okay.
with her. I don't have a problem with Lady Gaga at all. Um, I thought she was like,
She just sounded like a Kardashian to me, but okay. Yeah.
yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with her. The whole movie is dark and people talk slow and soft and she's crazy. I never have a problem with anything like that. Actually, I thought, like you said, I agree. I thought the actors were phenomenal, especially Joaquin. I thought he did
I
an
love
amazing
his
job.
little like how the way he kind of like dances. Like he always does the signature move where he outstretches his arm and leans
Mm,
back. It kind of reminds me of, when you're watching a ballet and the main like the principal ballerina who has the main role, she dies because every ballerina wants to play the character who dies because it's so much drama in a death scene. That's
mm,
what he reminds me of when he does that movement of like leaning back and outstretching his arms with a cigarette. It's just beautiful. And he understands how his body looks. Like
mm.
he's chef's kiss. But continue.
Yeah.
It's like
So
that. He knows how to even dance tragically.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think even the singing part, I thought he did a good job of it as well,
Hmm.
even though he's not a natural
It
singer,
sounds great.
right?
It like I said, I
Some
really
some of
liked
my
some of his songs.
yeah, some of um my knocks on the movie is one, I don't think the concept of him not being the real Joker was clear enough soon enough. And I think that reflects how the mass majority of viewers seen it. People came like talked to me and said, "You go watch that movie, it's trash." You're watching that movie, it's trash. And all people believe it was trash. Even when I walked out, I thought it was trash because how do you kill the Joker by getting shanked in prison when that's not how any of the story
But you don't
goes?
want to be
It didn't
spoon
line up.
fed.
Well, it's not just spoon fed. I don't think his portrayal went across well. I think if it takes people to do 3 hours of research and make a podcast to understand what
But you,
happened,
but
is
you,
not a
you
his
kind of,
portrayal of the story.
but you knew in the first film too something was off. Logically, you knew it was off. That Bruce Wayne was too young.
I didn't remember Bruce Wayne was even in the first movie. To be
Oh,
honest, right? I just knew. I'm like, okay, the Joker. He wasn't as violent. And me and Eileen said the same thing. I was like, he didn't kill anyone in this movie. He didn't do anything
yeah, I wanted
psychotic.
them to kill people
He
too. I
was,
did want some death. I
yeah,
did want some death, but
yes, he didn't do anything psychotic. He just seemed more so like a victim in this movie, right? And they talked about the stuff he did in the last movie, but nothing actually happened in this movie that make you think that's the nigga the
so
Joker.
you don't
So it
think
all makes
okay. So you're saying you're okay with the fact that this is not the Joker that we know. You just felt like it could have been more apparent.
yeah. I think if they would have took an extra second to show, maybe do a zoom in, like a close up of the dude sitting there laughing with his like his face cut or whatever. Because even his face
No, I
cut,
would have hated
like
that.
I would, just something a little more. 'Cause I'm telling you, the majority of people who saw this had no idea that this wasn't the
See, I
dude.
talk about I don't like I'm not I give yeah, continue. I
Yeah.
disagree
So
because I do like the subtlety of that. I do really like I do like the fact that we had to figure it out. But I get you. I get you. If you're expecting one thing and you don't get that, you feel very slighted. That's very valid.
yeah,
I get that. I
because
get that.
when the jailhouse blew up or whatever the courthouse blew up, and he was in the car, I was pumped. I'm like, let's go, let's get out of here, and let's start it. But it didn't happen, and it's like, what's going on?
No, I feel
Like,
you. I was disappointed too. I was disappointed, but
and
I was
even
okay with it. I get you. Yeah.
and even Harley Quinn walking away, I'm like, what was? I literally wrote down, why didn't she just kill herself? That sounds
She gotta
terrible.
die because she don't want to be with the
Like,
man no more, James. What you saying?
I'm just saying, like, it would have been more dramatic if she killed herself or if she died in a
I hated
bomb
her last song,
versus
by the way. I was like, oh my God. Could she
versus
not sing and just tell us? Just talk. I
like
hated that last song.
like I'm saying it would have been more fitting if she died in a bomb trying to save him versus her just being like, I don't love you no more and walk away. That's the type of stuff where I'm like, I don't know. I'll give it a because of because of Hakeem and his
Joaquin.
performance, I would give it a medium. I would give it a medium bag of popcorn.
So if he didn't
But
perform well, you'd give it a small?
I'll give it a small yes.
Wow. I wouldn't give it a small by any
Yes.
means.
Yeah, I would give it because I enjoyed it, but this the end of it, it just made me walk out just
Yeah, I
sour.
think
To be
yeah,
perfect.
I completely understand feeling disappointed because like I said, it is not the film that we thought it was going to be. I agree with you on that. But like I said, for me, I know I'm different, but for me it's like if I know, okay, like if I were to paint a picture, if my intent is to show the picture in a certain way, I can't like me as a viewer if I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't show this." It's like that's not what I was going for. So, and like I said, I
Well,
kind
I'm
of
saying
knew
my argument is we didn't understand what he was going for.
I
You know?
I think but it did become aware to us. I think if you for me, the first watch of the movie, when I rewatched it again, and maybe like I said, like if you wanted it to be something that we don't really have to look into, well, he did say it. He did say it in the interview loud and clear that this is not the movie y'all think it is. He did say that straight up. So, he did say that in IGN, which is a very prominent platform. So it's like I think it is kind of
He
on
said what?
us, huh?
He said what?
He said it. He said this is not the Joker origin story that y'all think of in that IGN interview.
And I think he said that to cover himself.
No,
I
he
think
said that before the Joker, before the second movie. He said that about this first movie. Before the first movie even
mm,
came out, he said what it was.
mm.
So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get it. I completely understand. I just disagree. But if people say the movie is trash for those reasons, I'm like, you know what? I get it. But for me, I am okay with this completely different take on it. it was disappointing, but not because narratively. I didn't want him to die. I just want more of the character, but
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. What else is he going to do? You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's Arthur Fleck is not that guy. So the story has to end,
yeah.
or it'll just be dragging it on. So
I accept the story, and I'm willing to admit that it's kind of cool that he wasn't the real Joker in the end. But I'm kind of salty about
yeah,
it because
exactly. Because you like the character. You know what I mean? You want to see more of him, but that's not it.
and like I said, it wasn't like it wasn't walk out like, oh snaps, that was
Hmm.
crazy, like I was blown away. It was like a
Very
what?
emo. Very emo.
I'm saying like that was crazy, like that wasn't the real Joker. When I put it together, I was like, oh okay, I guess that makes
It's a
sense.
tragic story, yeah. No, I okay, I get you. You wanted more of like a Hollywood twist, like a. I get you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get you. I get
yeah,
you. But that wasn't the only shock value in both movies. I guess was him killing Murray Franklin.
yeah,
It just wasn't that movie. But I get you. I get you. It that will make sense if it was like a Christopher Nolan film. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
No, I
yeah,
get you. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
But valid.
That's
I
true.
get you. That's interesting though. But all right, guys, we've been talking for long enough. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Watch That Joan podcast. Tell them where to find us, James.
You can find us on Instagram at Watch That John. You can also follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Watch That John podcast. And you can listen to us wherever you find your podcast, on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever else you listen to. So,
Yay! Bye, guys.
bye bye.